Hey, welcome back everybody. Today I'm gonna do a video that I never thought I'd be making, to be honest. So for many years I've been arguing that the biggest problem in America and the reason we are collapsing is in large part due to economic policy going back 50 years. So over that time, Wall Street, big banks, hedge funds have all been given the keys to the vault. 100% of our politicians are bought and paid for by these special interests and have been benefiting just the same from the destruction of our system, the destruction of the middle class and the American dream. So boomers, by and large, had fallen asleep at the wheel and allowed the corporate takeover of the United States. I do believe that the wealthy must start paying their fair share. The money printing has to stop, the bailouts and giveaways, the 0% interest rates from the Fed. They're putting the final nails in the coffin of the American system. So as someone on the left, I've always argued for supporting the working class, helping those at the bottom climb the economic ladder, if they work hard, to greater economic opportunity, wealth, and access to the American dream. So recently, in the last 5 years, I've been pushed out of the popular left. I am technically politically homeless after Bernie Sanders' presidential bid in 2016 and his shift toward adopting the identity politics BS and the subsequent adoption by the Democrats and a large portion of the left of the woke ideology has destroyed our ability to come together, as the working class, to transcend party politics and work in tandem toward populist economic policies. The chances of the populist left and right finding common ground has all but disappeared. But I don't think it's impossible, and that's one of my main goals, is to see how we can bring us together along those economic policies rather than this culture war nonsense. And that brings me to talking about the subject of this video, which is Steve Bannon, Trump's right-hand man there for a while. Yeah, let's talk about him. So when I first heard of Steve Bannon and the media's portrayal of him, I rejected even listening to anything that he had to say. I fell into the same trap all other leftists have, even though I have been anti-woke and rejected the calls of racism and white supremacy and alt-right of everyone who happens to disagree with them. I still was pushed away from hearing and listening to what Steve Bannon had to say on anything. So come to find out, he is actually with the economic left, or at least those on the left that still recognize the economy is the biggest issue, not white supremacy, on some of our main policy ideas that made us attracted to Bernie in the first place. So I want you to go ahead and take a listen to this clip. Tim Pool had him on Timcast IRL, and man, some of what he was saying just blew my mind, because I'm like, how have we missed this about Steve Bannon? So anyways, take a listen.
This brings me to the question that I had to bring up. Doing the research for yourself, you just said tax the rich, I believe, but I thought you were far right and believed in deregulation and the billionaires. At least that's what the media tells everybody, right? You've come out multiple times saying these people are getting away with not paying anything and you're getting ripped off. So
the Wall Street Journal dumped out in the summer 2017. I wanted to raise, to President Trump, I said we should raise tax on the wealthy to 44%. And on the corporations, as they bring this cash back from overseas, right, it ought to be taxed less if it's put in capital equipment and plant, and because we must rebuild the manufacturing base of this country for the American people. And if you put it in Detroit or St. Louis or Baltimore inner cities, you get a bigger tax cut. Every piece of capital
helping
in
people
this
of color
goes into the manufacturing, put into capital equipment to build fourth industrial manufacturing jobs, is going to increase the ability of the working class family. Look, here's the goal. We want the ability, and I'm not saying women have to do this, but we want the ability to get back to the 50s where one wage earner can have a family, a wife and children, or a husband and children, and they don't have to work unless they want to work. We can get back to that.
Man, right there. So I've been like wrestling with this in my brain for a long time. And came to the conclusion that one of the biggest tricks to ever be pulled on us common people in America was pushing women into the workforce, thinking that having a career in their life is going to be the most fulfilling and most important. And what's happened is now women are pursuing those, which is great. I think women should always be able to, pursue whatever they want in terms of career or the life they want or family. But what about those women that do want, or the men who do want to stay home and raise their own children, not have strangers raise their children while they both work full-time jobs, just trying to, again, afford that American dream? And to me, it just seems, again, like the biggest trick ever pulled on U.S. citizens, the average people. So anyways, but back to this.
Manufacturing jobs is going to increase the ability of the working class family. Look, here's the goal. We want the ability, and I'm not saying women have to do this, but we want the ability to get back to the 50s where one wage earner can have a family, a wife and children, or a husband and children, and they don't have to work unless they want to work. We can get back to that. It's no law of there's no second law of thermodynamics that says we have to have this free trade, that we send our factories all over the world, that we basically put all the burden on the American, it's the little guy, the American citizen. For all the wars, all the taxes, everything's put on his shoulders, his or her shoulders. It doesn't have to be that. You should have a special deal if you're an American citizen, right? And that deal deals with, let's have a tax policy that rewards labor and work, not just simply capital, because right now it's out of balance. Let's get back to a balance. I'm a capitalist. I'm not some left-wing socialist, but I got to tell you, and I say this all the time, unless we reform capitalism, this thing's going away. But here's the thing: is that the wealthy, they have this is the. If you go back and look at the 24 people that are the wealthiest in the nation, they don't pay the tax of Bloomberg and Buffett is like 0.11 because they have all these tax accountants looking for every deal in the world that the system gives them, supposedly for investment, but system gives them to avoid taxes.
I will counter with this though. Taxing them just puts the money into the government, and it's like the government is free from corruption.
Well, first off, it doesn't totally put the money. First off, we got to pay. If we're going to have a government that provides these services and has a $1 trillion, and that's what we have, a $1 trillion defense budget, because you add up all the intelligence and add in all the areas where they put it out into other departments, it's $1 trillion a year. If we're going to continue to spend like this, somehow it's got to be paid for. I'm all for cutting it, but still the wealthy, because of their benefits. Remember, think about it. It's like the environment back in the 60s or 70s before we had environmental laws. They had this thing called the commons, right? Because the effluent, the Hudson River, it was filthy. The air in L.A. you couldn't see through because to dump everything didn't have any charge to it. And then the people had a thing to actually start to charge for effluents. You had the Clean Air Act and all these things, and it got. And those people say, the libertarians say you can't regulate, but the water got cleaner. The air got cleaner. President Trump says, I love clean water, I love clean air. Hey, it all got better. Why? Because the commons. We have the same thing here. When people say, well, Steve, we have the most robust liquid capital markets in the world in the stock market, that's all because of the little guy. It's because it's civic society. Upon the shoulders of the working class and middle class in this country, everything rests. Okay? Mm-hmm. The cops, the teachers, the nurses, the people that build the coach Little League, that build the churches, that civic society of America is what provides for the safety of investment. That's why the whole world wants to come here and invest their dollars. It's on the shoulders. And all my point is, hey, let's give a little something for the effort, right? I'm not some radical socialist, but if we don't shift a little more to the working men and women in this country, right? And that's what the apes are doing. They ain't waiting for regulation. Mm-hmm. You know what they're doing? They're saying, hey, you're destroying good American companies. It's a rigged game. How about this? Buy and hold, right? And if you're sold this stock short and it goes up, that's tough luck. We're going to crush you, and they're going to crush these hedge funds on the way to the corruption. They're going to get to the casino, and they're going to tear the casino down.
Love it. So, I mean, as you can see right there, I mean, he he sounded a lot like, our favorites, like Bernie Sanders did in 2016 in terms of, what we should expect from from the wealthy, and what we need to do to reform our system. I am definitely not anti-capitalist. As someone on the left, I just think that we've let capitalism run amok and just destroy, the whole system, basically. So, after all of that, I just want to say, please pay attention to the strategies being used, that whoever this they is, that they're using, establishment, the elite. Pay attention to the strategies being used to divide us left and right. Pay attention to the divide between authoritarian and the small L libertarians, for those of you who know the political compass. The populists are the solution, in my view, and in a lot of people's view. The idea that critical theory will help us change the system for the better is malicious or just plain stupid. It's doing the work of the establishment. It's keeping us fighting along social and cultural ideas and forgetting what binds the 99% of us against this 1% elite. Think back to the original Occupy. Before, as Tim Pool says quite often, before the identitarians took over, Occupy was the answer. People from all over the political spectrum came together to fight against the elite establishment and the rigged system in Wall Street. And now we've got Occupy 2.0, so the meme stocks, right? The ape army. It's a different battle, but the same war. The idea of voting with your dollar, as I've heard a lot of people say, if you want to reform capitalism, vote with your dollar. That idea is correct, but instead of the idea of voting by purchasing products or services from the companies that we believe in, is not what I mean. What I'm seeing with the meme stocks and AMC, GameStop, right, is that the millions of apes are voting with their dollar by buying stock in companies they don't want to see bankrupted, and holding with diamond hands to cause, hedgies to lose money. These strategies are working, and we've seen one fund nearly crash before their daddy fund saved them, so Melvin and Citadel, right? And then recently we saw a hedge fund in London shutter their doors directly due to shorting of GameStop and losses they suffered from that. So this is the most direct effect that we, as the working class or the little guy, have ever had on the financial elite and these institutions who have bought our politicians and who benefit in the short term from the long-term destruction of our system and our country. So, that does bring me to this other video I started to play a bit earlier. Let's take a listen to this now. Let me shrink that window. Let's watch this one.
Right. You came out of the Occupy movement. You're the populist left. I think there's a lot of commonality. I think today the story of the apes transcends politics. I think it cuts to the heart. It's one of the most important stories in the world, what I call, the verticals of work of the populist movement. And it blew up a hedge fund today in London, and more to come. More to come as they buy and hold and do not retreat. This group of basically deplorables, or the little guy, or the common man, whatever you want to say, is relentless, and they're marching to the heart of the incompetence and corruption that is the rigged casino that is Wall Street. And I'll tell you how rigged it is. On the way up here, kind of getting ready for maybe some topics. Seeking Alpha, a great site right out there, a great financial site with short stories, has a headline, AMC, time to sell. Right? And so I read this, and it's got this very fundamental analysis about the stock's overvalued, net present value, all this stuff.
Fundamentals.
And it's all these reasons that this thing is going to collapse price-wise. And you get all the way down to the bottom. And the guy says, for full disclosure, the very bottom tiny print, full disclosure, I'm short. I said, you can't make this up.
I'm kidding.
Seeking Alpha, why don't you put that in the headline?
That
short
guy,
says it's time for you guys.
That guy is sweating bullets. He's
For real.
Oh, sure he is.
His losses are infinite.
It's the sweet hour of prayer for all these smart guys. This is the power of, I think, the apes. Having gone to Harvard Business School and having worked at Goldman Sachs in the merger department, right? Back then was the elite of the elite. Is you see these people crowdsourcing, and this is how modern technology has disintermediated institutions. The reason your show is so big, the reason we can do the war room, where we do it and we get traction. It's not like the old days. It's the reason one of the reasons Trump won the presidency was Twitter. He could disintermediate the mainstream media, right? What you're seeing with the crowdsourcing of financial knowledge.
Totally not a
Brittany
Trump
Avery,
supporter.
one of the apes on the other day. She's the young woman that's done the
Don't have
mother of two in
derangement
Missoula,
syndrome like
Montana,
all
that
these
has done these
crazy
billboards of the
Democrats.
apes.
We should. I don't want to do too much because
But she comes on and says, "Hey," she says, "Oh, I'm just in this stock." And I said, "Well, when did you buy it?" She goes, "January, first time I bought a stock." And I go, "Oh, what was the price?" $2. Wow. the stock's at 60. Guys on Wall Street dine out for a career on that trade.
Right.
I bought it too. I got my clients out at 60. They will literally get clients the rest of their life on that one trade. And she's saying, "Oh yeah, I just kind of bought it too." But her knowledge, the collective knowledge,
we're going to get into all that too. So I don't want to.
That's right. Oh, it's so awesome. That's the thing, more of us are now becoming knowledgeable on how markets work. Even if just a little bit, we're buying in and we're holding like crazy, right? And so just remember, apes out there, the common folk, average people, which I would say I'm definitely an average Joe out here, working class. So I just want you to all to remember this isn't over. The meme stocks, the short squeeze, there'll be more to come. And trying to remember, what we can do to come together on these economic ideas. I think that more of us on the left and right, libertarian, even some of those democratic socialists, we have a lot of the same ideas on what the problems are in the U.S. with the economy. And it's just about, hashing it out and having those discussions on how we want to solve those problems rather than the two-party, which is really just a uniparty, constantly having the same policies for the last 50 years, austerity, low social safety nets, all of that. Let's bailouts for the wealthy, right? But it's not over. This is just the beginning. We're prepared. Funny enough, we little guys, retail investors, the apes, we're prepared to lose all of our money on this AMC GameStop situation. It doesn't matter. Like for me, it's a couple $100. If that means I hold that for a while to cause these hedge funds to lose billions or pay millions in interest, for borrowing the shares, I don't give a shit if I lose that money. So anyways, we're making the elite hemorrhage money. And so let's keep it going. I would say to them, beware of the ape army. P.S. So Bitcoin will be the standard in our lifetimes. Don't be scared of the small fall in price, but buy the dip and hold. I'm not a professional, not a financial advisor. This is just my opinion. If I were you, that's what I would do. There's going to be more videos to come on all these topics and more. So like, share, subscribe, all that junk. Thanks for watching. Later, dudes.